When we buy a plant or a puppy or a kitten, do we go home and stare at that little thing and go, when are you gonna get bigger? When are you gonna look like the plant or the animal that I see in the magazines? Because that's what I'm looking for. No, we don't do that. We enjoy the ride, don't we? We feed it, we nourish it, we talk to it, we take our time with it, and before we know it, many years down the road, we have this developed relationship and this bond. And when we're dealing with dreadlocks, you hear the term dreadlock journey thrown around a lot. And I don't even say thrown around. It used to be standard to hear that, but it's different now. I've been doing dreadlocks now for like almost 15 years on people, and I'm growing my own as well. And it certainly is a journey. And I think that we forget how fast time goes. And I see people on these forums who are new to getting their dreadlocks, and like 1 month in, they're like, is this normal, right? There's always this, is this normal conversation. And I think part of the problem is that we get this picture in our head of what we want to look like, and we bring that to the loctician or we bring that to ourselves, and we have this expectation that this is what we're gonna get really quickly. And maybe that's because you don't have proper guidance telling you that it's a journey, or maybe it's because you're impatient, or maybe, I think that like if you take a look at that original inspiration for you, what is it that you loved about it? Because you're not gonna look like that model on day one. Your dreadlocks are not going to be, tight and shaped properly in month one or even in year one sometimes. It's not gonna happen, because that happens over time from these dreadlocks rubbing up against each other and, brushing the loose hairs off. All of this time and patience, and it carries with it all the memories of our experiences, which is why I always say that dreadlocks are a spiritual experience. Whether you went into it with that, whether you consider yourself a spiritual person, you are carrying these things on your head that are carrying all of your experiences and memories and their own story. It teaches you patience along the way. Whether you like it or not, you're gonna learn patience. If you go to the loctician on day one and you get your hair locked up and you get extensions added, those extensions are more than likely something that was like pre-created by another artist, whether it's out of human hair and really expensive and done perfectly well with like their ends looking like mine, or maybe they're made out of fake hair and they're tight and skinny. Either way, those things are finished. They are forcibly created to be as locked up as the hair can be locked up. And you have to understand a little bit about how hair locks up to understand what I'm saying. Like hair shrinks. It shrinks up this way and it shrinks in this way, our dreadlocks. And it gets as tight as it possibly can till there's no space left between every single little hair. And then it stops locking up. So it gets as dense and hard as possible. And that itself is a journey. When you attach something to the end of your hair that's already gone through that journey, and then maybe you've got about like this much of your own hair that's been like forced into submission to be able to be a solid enough anchor to hold that extension onto it, then you've created this kind of forced situation, this unnatural expectation, right? I don't know how much your locticians tell you before they send you out the door with these extensions on it, but two things go on. Number one, either your hair was locked up softly and is going to go through its own natural shrinkage process, which can pull away from, maybe if you have an extension on the end, it can pull away from it, causing this little gap right here. Or maybe it was added improperly and not very gracefully, and it's a big fat area, right, where they attached it, they just went for it. Or the other thing that can happen is that your hair was done so hard at first, and then the extension was attached to it, and those things, they commingle. You got this fat area, whatever's going on, but then your hair starts to grow out, right? And this little area has to go through its own process. Either it's done so forcibly tight that it doesn't really go through a natural process that spits out hair, or it does. And either way, this is going to look different from here. And you walked out the door with it probably looking very similar and thinking, hey, I'm that chick now, right? I'm that guy. I'm the person that I saw in the photo, and I feel like really good about it. And now your hair grows and it goes through this thing, and you have no idea why you look so crazy. Your expectation is so high because you think there's no hair is gonna come out, right? But then all of a sudden you got all this like wild shit happening at the top, and you feel like this isn't supposed to happen. I'm just supposed to be perfect now for all of the end of time. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. I'm sorry. And your loctician should be telling you that, and you should be getting maintenances properly. And I really want people to humble themselves and just like be patient, be along for the ride. It's gonna go so quick and you're in a hurry to get there. When you look at the picture of that Instagram model with the dreadlocks, what is it that you love about that photo that makes you want it? Is it that she looks wild? I mean, you could literally go out in the woods and be wild. Does she look like she doesn't care what other people think? Because you can make that decision to not care what people think. Does she look like a goddess or a mysterious mermaid, right? We have to embody the things that we want to be. It's not just gonna happen because you got dreadlocks one day with some extensions attached to it. You're not gonna be a mysterious wild mermaid all of a sudden. That person was probably feral as hell and young and stopped brushing their hair and went with it and had this whole journey of their life. And in the end, what they have 10, 15 years later to show for it is this head of hair that tells a story. And then you want to look at that story and go, I want that. I want to be that. And that's just like not the way it works, you know? And if you're not authentically yourself and have your own journey, people are gonna see right through it. You're gonna see right through it when you look in the mirror, and you're gonna be frustrated by every single hair that comes sticking out of your head and looks inconsistent and out of control because you're trying to find a sense of something in your life, right? Something real, something authentic and gritty, and you know, you gotta be that, and the hair will follow. And that's the journey. And whatever sculpture, whatever plant, whatever wild creation happens on your head in that time period, that's your unique story that you're walking around with. And other people will certainly look at you and go, I want to be like that. And that's the real deal. But it does take patience and trust. And it takes an abandonment of what you think you're supposed to be, because you're not supposed to be anything other than what you are, and you're not supposed to have the experiences other than what your experiences are. This is your life that you're living.